welcome to my channel. Well, one of the things that I used to have a few of, but not a whole lot of, was fixed blades. And this last year, I really, thanks to Toby and family also, but I really started increasing my fixed blade collection of knives. And I just wanted to go over some of the budget knife options available out there. On fixed blades, it's just like with folders and flippers and stuff like that. There's always, the high end of stuff available, and then there's ones that are more affordable. And the more affordable ones aren't necessarily any worse. They're just usually have not a super steel in them, but that's not always the case. So anyways, let's just get down to what we all already know, which is Mora. For the price you pay on these, this is a Mora Companion. I think it's in carbon, but I think it's the HD. You'll have to flatten the spine out for sparking and everything, and it comes in a plastic sheath. But these things are really well designed. This is the Companion MGC. Well, I guess it's not the heavy-duty one, but they're very inexpensive. It's really hard to beat these knives for utility use, stuff like that. The handle is comfortable. Moras. Everybody knows about Moras, right? Cold Steel has their version of a Mora knife. This is the... Oh, that's a lot harder to get out. The Finn Hawk. Now, the Finn Wolf is a folding version of this guy, and I really like this one. Its handles go in a little bit, which is kind of different, but it still works. A lot of times you see swells there, which work also. Anything that changes it from a straight, a straight grip usually helps on this. Like I said, it's extra strong on it. Sometimes Cold Steel has a problem with their Kydex sheaths, and I've got one of them, a Pendleton Hunter Light, that I think Alex's Knives and Such just recently reviewed, and he had the same thing. He went to pull it out, and he was like, "Man, I'm almost gonna cut myself from pulling this thing out." It's all right to have strong retention, but some of it is just a little bit crazy. Now, you could probably loosen it with heat and stuff like that, but anyway. So that's another one, and then Hultafors is another good example of a inexpensive. See how they use the palm swelling out, which works. Like I said, either way, if it's an indent or if it's swell out. But that's another Scandi grind knife, similar to Mora. This is the heavy-duty Grovgnev Model GK. So yeah, that's another good one. And of course, we got the standard Mora. I think what is this one? The Robust. You can see I've used it and stuff. Now, a lot of this patina, the way this one got, it's so shiny when you get it, you kind of forget that it's carbon. And I had made a mistake of leaving it in the sink with water and stuff on it, and that's how it got that patina. But yeah, these are very comfortable, very easy to use, very versatile. You can clip, if you got another one like this, you can clip this one to that one, and you can have one sheath carrying two knives, or two knives, dangling off each other. Moras, again, like I said, you can't beat them. Now, there are a lot of Chinese knives and stuff out there that copy things, and this one I believe is a copy of a Buck, but it feels good in the hand. It's sturdy. Now the sheath is, it's one of those sheaths, I mean, it'll work. It's got that little rigid insert into it and everything, but it's not the best sheath in the world. Of course, it does what it's supposed to do. It holds the knife securely. This wire here is just so I can hang it from a wire or a rim of a table. So those GW Good Worker, sometimes it's called Grand Way. It depends on what they feel like. Uh-oh, trying to pile everything over there. Of course, Joker knives from Spain. This one is just one example, but the Aruri 12. Very good knife. Olive wood handle. They usually use that 4116 stainless steel, which is pretty much similar to what you get in a Victorinox knife. I really like the Joker knives, not just the fixed blades, but the foldings that they've got too. All right, let go of each other. A Martini. This one's pretty cool. It's from Finland, and you know I love it for the sheath and the little artistic stuff that they got going on there. But again, it's another small little. Got my thumbprint etched in there. It's another small little Scandi grind type of knife. This would be like a sturdy bird and trout type of thing, you know, about the same size. But yeah, just very nicely done. Of course, we can't forget BPS Knives Ukraine. I've got quite a few of them. I just pulled this one out as, you know, an example. They don't put the model number on them on there, so you have to look them up and everything. I've got this is the long version. I've got a little bit of shorter version of this one also. These, fortunately, we started getting into these things before the war started happening there. So their factory actually got shut down for a little while. Now I believe he's making knives for the Ukrainian army. But these are, some of them are still available, like the Adventurer and different ones like that. Some have a little ferro rod attachment, you know, to it and everything. The price has gone up slightly from when they first started, but these are still very good value knives. Really, really excellent choice. And of course, we can't forget Old Timer. Old Timer makes pretty good fixed blades from Charade. This is a pretty good, like 165 OT. You get a fairly decent sheath. It's not the best in the world, but it's not the worst. And at least this thing isn't stitched right there. It can move around a little bit if you need to. It's reinforced. I got no complaints on this sheath. So yeah, don't forget Old Timer. They have a range of them, you know, the sharp finger and all this other stuff. Believe me, doing this video, it was very difficult just to limit it down to the knives that I'm showing here, because I've got so many of them. This is an off-grid design, I believe. This reminds me a lot of like an Essie. I don't have an Essie, but it's a lot like an Essie 3 or 4. But yeah, smooth G10 handles, a nice big choil up here, even for the biggest fingers. You could have 8 fingers, you know. Sasquatch could hold this one and still get his finger in there. But yeah, they're pretty good. This one is pretty nice. Now again, the sheath is nothing, you know, super great. If you get a knife that you love and the sheath, it does its job. It's reinforced. It's better than that other one, that Grand Way. Let's put it that way. But if you get a knife that you love or whatever, you can always have a leather sheath made or make one yourself. We've got a lot of people in the community. J.O. Ventures, for example, will make leather sheaths for you. Okay, Cold Steel. Again, this is the most recent one I've got, but a lot of them. This is the SRK-C. You can get the SRK, but also, which is a a little bit longer. This is a 5-inch blade. But again, another very good knife. I like the way it could, this last part, yeah, it might be dull on the edge, but mine doesn't seem to be touching the edge. There was a problem. You can see there's a little cutout for where the blade was. Some of these, when they first were coming in, were the edge was getting dull. Pick up a hair. Figures. The edge was getting dull, but I looked at this with a flashlight, and this edge is not coming in contact with that. I think the last part is just this handle. So I believe they corrected that, because I haven't noticed any glinting or dulling on the edge or anything like that. So that's a good one right here. And then you get even more basic. You just get like Old Hickory. This one was a second, so you can look for Old Hickory seconds and stuff and save even more money. And a lot of your original bushcraft knives and stuff back in the old days were kitchen knives and stuff like this. Now this one I smoothed the handle off and everything, which makes it feel really great in the hand. And I put a patina on it. I basically forced a patina with vinegar. And yeah, these are great. Now, of course, you're going to have to get a sheath or make a sheath. I've got one lying around here somewhere that I've got for this that I use. But yeah, so there's some of your budget options on fixed blades. I tried to keep it down to a reasonable amount and a reasonable selection. Now, as far as budget big buoys and everything, that's a whole nother category. That's a whole nother box of knives to break out. And I've already done a video on that. So to sum that one up, I'll link, description in the description, or a card, or up here, or something like that, to that particular video where I looked at all the different buoys. The high-end one is going to be the case as far as my collection. That one's around $200 or so. And then the intermediate, the more like user, kind of like tactical ones, are the Ontario knife ones, the SP5 and SP10. Both of those are excellent. They're around $60 or so. And then you start getting down to the more budget-friendly stuff. You really can't go wrong with the Sesco buoy. Yeah, it's made in Pakistan and everything, but it's carbon. I patinaed mine and everything. It's just a pretty good user. It's not the best steel in the world and everything, but you just gotta have to deal with that when you're going down lower in price. One of the better budget ones in there is the Mossy Oak. I tested it with the file, the Rockwell hardness tester and everything. It does pretty well, and so does the Old Timer. You would look at that Old Timer buoy and you would say, this thing, it doesn't feel as heavy. It's more of what buoy knives were originally intended for, which was fighting. They're not really intended for bushcraft and chopping. They later evolved into that as they got heavier and people started using them in the West. But the buoy knife history is pretty fascinating. Like I said, that's a whole different subject. So hopefully you've got some ideas in there. And like I said, don't forget about the fixed blades. If you're on a budget and everything, and you're looking at what you've got, maybe you've got everything you need, but just to add one of these fixed blades into your budget wouldn't set you off a whole lot, wouldn't set you back a whole lot of money, and you'd have a really useful tool, if you ever use it, hunting or even opening boxes. These, a fixed blade is the fastest deployment method. It's faster than a flipper, it's faster than auto, because as soon as you pull it out, the only limitation is how long does it take you to get it out of your sheath. So if you're worried about quickness of deployment operations, you can't beat a fixed blade. So there you go. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.